On today's program, we're going to talk about how to overcome self-doubt. Have you ever asked yourself these type of questions? What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I embarrass myself? What if? You know, these what if questions are crippling our potential and holding us back from truly living out our dreams. Well, on today's program, I'm going to give you some tips on how to overcome this self-doubt and really unleash the person you know you are inside. Well, if we're just meeting, my name is Bryce and this is Doing Life Today. I have a passion to help people live their best life with tips and tools, training, encouragement to not just live life, but actually do life. So if that sounds awesome, hit that subscribe button. We'd love you to join us. So let's get into today's teaching on how to overcome self-doubt. This is actually going to be part one of a two-part series. I just couldn't get it all into one video, but I will put a link in the description to part two. So make sure you check that out right after. Also in the description, I've also got a link where you can get a copy free of my new ebook called How to Overcome Self-Doubt and How to Unleash Your True Potential. So watch the video and then get the free ebook. It'll just be kind of a reminder, but it also goes a little bit deeper into some of the things that you can print it out, you can look at it, you can go through it, you can make notes on it, highlight stuff. And that way it's just a constant reminder. Whenever you're feeling self-doubt, you can always reference back to it and go through it and build yourself back up again. So just click the link in the description below and that's just a free gift from me to you. Okay, self-doubt. Self-doubt comes from one of two sources. It either comes from other people or it comes from ourselves. So here is tip number one. Stay away from naysayers, or as some other people call them, Debbie Downers. Now all of us have naysayers in our life, or the Debbie Downers. They say things like, that's too hard. There's no way you'll ever be able to do that. Or you're too old. You know, remember, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Or what if you fail? How will you ever live that down? Now here's what you have to remember. When you're dealing with your own self-doubt, all of these comments, these things that people are saying to you, really what they're doing is they're projecting some things upon you about themselves. Some of them are jealous because you're doing something or you want to do something or you have the ambition to try something different and new, and they maybe don't have it themselves. They have their own insecurities. Some of them are reflecting their own self-doubt in themselves upon you. So here's the trick. Number one, if you get people saying things like that to you, you need to stop them in their tracks. You know, if someone's just saying, hey, I don't want you to get hurt, say, well, that's great, and I appreciate you don't want me to get hurt, but the way that you can not hurt me is by supporting me. Or the person that says, you know, are you sure you might fail? You might be so bold as to say back to them, you know, you might think you might fail in that situation, but I'm confident that I've researched, I've got the ability, and I'm going to do it whether I'm scared or not. So don't let other people's comments, other people's insecurities, other people's jealousies, other people's past hurt reflect upon you and your future and how you feel about yourself. One thing you have to remember is you have to be very protective of your dream. You have to be very protective of who you open yourself up to. If there's a person who is a Debbie Downer in your life or a naysayer, and that could be a spouse, a child, a parent, you have to be very particular on how far you go. When you're having a conversation with somebody, see, for me personally, I have different levels that I know for different people in my life, I can take them this far. I'm a big dreamer, like I'm a huge dreamer, but I realize that there's some people, the people that really support me and care about me and want the best for me and want to encourage me, I can tell them my full dream 10 years from now and they're like, go for it, you can do it. And they pump me up and get me going. There's other people in my life that I can maybe tell them a little bit about my plans and a little bit about what I want to do, but I know I have to cut it off at some point because I know that the minute I go I push a little bit beyond their own comfort zone, then they will reflect that back on me and it's going to put some negative vibes into me and some negative mojo, and that's just not what I need at this point in time. So that was tip number one. Stay away from those people or just don't tell them things. Okay, moving on to tip number two. Remember, I said that the self-doubt comes from two sources, either from others or from ourselves. So tip two is how to deal with ourselves. Now, I know your mother told you never to talk back, but now I'm giving you permission to start talking back. Start talking back to yourself. When those negative thoughts start reappearing in your head and in your stomach, like, oh, I'm too old to start a business. That's when you need to start talking back. You need to be like a lawyer. You need to be advocating for yourself like a lawyer. You need to object, right? I'm too old to start a business. I object. Do you know how old Colonel Sanders was when he started his business? Do you know how old Ray Kroc was? These were senior citizens. These were people that should have been collecting their pension checks when they started KFC and McDonald's. There's so many examples that you need to feed yourself with and then talk back yourself and object. Like, well, I don't think I should, I don't think I qualify for this new job. I didn't go to business school. I don't have a university degree. That's when you object, talk back. You know what? I've got years of experience. I understand this. I know this, and I'm going to be great at it. Or when you start getting that negative talking inside saying, it's too hard. This is going to be too hard. I object. I'm going to talk back right now. You know what? It might be hard, but it's important to me, and I am going to do it no matter what. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Just every time these negative thoughts come back, I want you to remember that. Talk back. It's talk back time. Nope, 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 I object. Here's what's going to happen. And the more you do that, you'll notice eventually that inner voice that you have, that negative Nancy inner voice that you have of yourself, because remember, we're also our hardest critics, right, ourselves. But when you get that, the negative chatter will start going away. Pretty soon inside, you're going to hear this, you know what? Yeah, go for it. Do whatever you want to do. Wouldn't that be awesome? You have a thought, a dream, and inside your inner being says, yeah, let's do this. Man, that's exciting, and that's where you're going to get to. So don't forget, always talk back. Well, I'm going to leave it right there. This is part 1 of how to overcome your self-doubt. Don't forget 2 things. Make sure to hit that like button if you got something out of this today. Go and get your free ebook, and then in the description below, there should be a link to part 2 of this. Depending on when you're watching this, if part 2 is ready and done, then at the end, right, coming up right now, actually I'll put it on the screen right now. Here's part 2, if it's there. And click on that and go watch part 2. And you know what? You go out, stop just living life and start doing life.